YouTube Buzzico in the Goat House is back with our Week 4 NFL score predictions, predicting the score to every single NFL game every single Wednesday afternoon. We also take a look at the spreads in the games. Straight up picks already up. Those went up Tuesday night. They go up every Tuesday night. We got power rankings Tuesday mornings. Every Tuesday morning, we got full NFL coverage here, a lot more than that. So join us, like, subscribe to notifications on. Follow our Twitter. A lot of extra things on Twitter, especially if you're a super follower on Twitter. Bonus content. But talking live during games, keeping you guys updated with everything. So check out that Twitter. Picks League's going on with some sick prizes. Not too late to join, especially if you're joining that Super League. Link down below. Put in the comments for that. Sponsored by the GLD Shop, who are supplying the prizes. They have NFL pendants. Always new releases. They got some sick jewelry there. Real gold, very affordable. Plus, if you use my code GOAT for 33% off, it becomes extremely affordable. So there's a link down below, pinned in the comments for that as well. So check it out. A lot of NFL players rocking their stuff these days. So let's go on to the picks. Thursday Night Football. I thought I was going to be like one of the only people picking the Bengals going upset here, and you take a look at the line, and they're favored by 4, a whopping 4 points, even though the Dolphins are hot. But I went Bengals. You know, I feel like it's a little bold going Bengals in this, but I guess not if they're favored by 4. But I went with a squeaker, 24-23. I mean, the big reason I went with the Bengals, a couple reasons. Home prime time. That's huge. It's going to be crazy in that stadium. Obviously, the Bengals are trying to get back on track. They're wearing all the all whites. It's not a reason to pick them, but I just think the energy in that building is going to be huge, and it's 70% win rate for home primetime teams right now. It plays a big factor. Dolphins, the list of guys injured. A lot of them could play, but they've kind of had a weird week already with the hurricane going on down there. They're already traveling to Cincinnati, and it is really a limited, unusual week of preparation practice, just unusual for NFL teams. So it happens though. And they're coming off a battle against the Bills and the Heat on top of it. So a lot of that factored in for me to go with the Bengals. I think it's going to be tight still, just because the Dolphins are the better team right now. And the big problem for the Bengals is that they're allowing their quarterback to get pressure nonstop. And that'll be a factor in this game. The Dolphins will apply pressure on Joe Burrow, with their blitz. And you don't want to blitz Burrow too much, though, because that kind of leaves islands out there for their big-time receivers, Chase, Higgins, Boyd, who had a big game last week. And they'll feast off kind of that man coverage with no safety help. That's why you don't want to blitz too much, and that's where it kind of sides with the Bengals a little bit there in terms of the matchup. So I do like that part of it. Maybe they can get mixing going here. I still like the Bengals defense as well. I think they'll play pretty well in this game. So I'm going to go Bengals in a tight one. Again, a lot of advantages point towards the Bengals. The Dolphins pretty beat up, which the Bengals, DJ Reader hurt. That's tough. Their nose tackle. But I think they'll be fine stopping a run. They'll focus on the pass. But at the same time, Burrow got to overcome, being pressured a ton, which has been a little bit of a struggle up until last week. So we'll see. 24-23 Bengals is my prediction. Vikings Saints. I got the Saints in this one. And this is one I keep it, be careful with. I could change my pick on this one just because I'm still waiting to hear for more injuries on the Saints. It sounds like they want Winston to practice tomorrow. They expect him to. I think Winston, Dalton, I don't think it'll matter too much. The reason I'm picking the Saints, I like the matchup. I like their defense against the Vikings. The Vikings will still find ways to score, and they do, that secondary holds it down just enough. But I like the Saints offense still could be explosive with those weapons, Kamara and those receivers, and that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye out for is those receivers. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry are beat up right now. So if one of those guys is out, that's pretty tough. If both of them are out, I'm definitely going with the Vikings. So that's kind of something I'm keeping an eye on because I think that is a big reason I like the Saints in this game. Because the collection of weapons, the guys I mentioned, plus Chris Olave, who's been tearing it up, I think having that many options could be a problem for the Vikings secondary, which the Vikings defense has been struggling a little bit. And the Saints offense has been struggling. Even though they get yards, they get production, they've kind of been turning it over a bit. I just don't see the Vikings as a massive threat like the last few teams they've played in terms of the defense, where the Saints will really struggle on offense. So I think this is kind of a matchup where they kind of can turn it around there a bit. So and the Saints are already in London. They've been in London since yesterday. The Vikings are going out tomorrow, Thursday. So that I think that helps the Saints a little bit more, kind of getting used to it over there. So all those things factor in. But if the Saints, you take a look at the injury report for the Saints, it's a long list of guys, so That's what makes it extremely tough. That's why this video is actually, this is the game. This is the reason why this video is going up later in the day than it normally does. I'm kind of been sitting waiting for more updates, on the Saints injuries, because this is one that I could change because of that. But, they're out there. Those guys are getting some rest. I will see. But I like the way the Saints match up. And they'll play much better defense than the Vikings. And I think their offense will kind of maybe get into a groove that they kind of haven't been able to do recently. So I will take the Saints by 3, even though they're underdogs by 3. But that's one I'd be careful with. Maybe not one to, if you want to put money on it right now. That line's looking pretty good right now. But I kind of want to wait to see the injuries of the Saints. So that's a tough one there. Browns and Falcons. I'll go with the Browns 26-20. I'm assuming Myles Garrett's going to be out, so that makes it a little more difficult for the Browns, but I still think they'll get the job done. Falcons got the job done last week. I did pick them. It's tough to trust them 2 weeks in a row because they always try to find ways to blow it, get a little sloppy at the end of the game. We saw it at the end of last week, but they still pulled it off. Browns are a different battle. I think, once again, the Browns' run game's going to have a good day. Brissett figured something out in that Steelers game, got some things going, so I think the Falcons will game plan for the run. Even with that, they still won't be able to stop it. Plus, it could open some things up for the passing game of the Browns. I know they go crazy with the scoring. I could see maybe the Falcons' defense having some success in the red zone, forcing some field goals perhaps, but I don't trust the Falcons to take care of the ball either. They'll have some explosive plays with Patterson, London, Pitts, maybe here and there, but just not enough. I still like even though Browns defense hasn't played as well as maybe we thought it could be, I still like it. And I think it'll be all right in this game. So I'm going to go Browns 26-20. They're only favored by 1.5. I think that's something to do with Myles Garrett there. Maybe the Falcons. You can't take the Falcons lightly, though, because, they're actually kind of close to being 3-0. They're not. They're 1-2, but then the Browns are very close to being 3-0. But even though the Falcons are 1-2, they gave the Saints a battle. They came back against the Rams, gave them a battle. So, and they're home in this one. So maybe a little bit of a trap game, but I'm feeling confident with the Browns there. I'm going to trust them a bit more. Commanders and Cowboys. I like the Cowboys 24-17. They're only favored by 3.5. Maybe it is a little tricky because, it's still maybe tough to fully invest or believe in the Cowboys offense without Dak, but they've been lighting it up. Cooper Rush looks pretty good. The running backs look good. Receivers really stepped up against a good defense in the Giants. In the last game, they could have Gallup back. They could have Schultz back as well. The Commanders' defense has really been struggling. Wide open holes, wide open lanes after the hole, bad tackling angles, bad tackles in general. So the Cowboys should be, they're not going to go crazy offensively, without Dak, but they're going to do enough. They're going to do enough damage, and they showed me enough to kind of trust them here. And on top of that, their defense has been absolutely lights out. And we know the Commanders' offense could be sneaky. They'll have explosive plays. But, man, Wentz has been getting pressured a ton. He's been taking a lot of sacks. The Cowboys lead the league in sacks. It takes them a bit to get going, too. It seems to be a theme for the Commanders. Like, they have to wait to adjust at halftime to maybe get going. And it's just a bad matchup. You're in Dallas. It's a very tough defense. And I think pretty much anybody can score or move the ball on the Commanders. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys 24-17. I think it'd be a lot closer if it was in Washington, if it was in D.C., but I like the Cowboys in this one. They've been playing for some really good football, and a little surprising since they've had some big-time injuries there, especially at the quarterback position. So we'll see if the Commanders maybe can bounce back here, but I'm feeling the Cowboys. Next, Seahawks and Lions. Yeah, it's tough because Swift's probably going to be out here, but I still think the Lions offense will have enough. They've been doing pretty damn well. It's a young Seahawks defense that, I think the Lions could have their way, not maybe crazy, but still with the run game without Swift and then in the pass game as well. So I like them scoring 28 points. I actually think the Lions will kind of focus on, they've been doing a good mixture of both. They've been passing a lot, though, too, more than you maybe expected. But a good mixture of both. I actually could see this one in this game where they really go at the ground game, even though there's no Swift, that could surprise people and really just try to dominate time of possession, because that's what the Seahawks, that's what that staff's goal always is try to win the time position, and then they win it. They won it last week against the Falcons and still lost the game. So I think the Lions, I think Jamal Williams, in the depth, Craig Reynolds, I think these guys could have a pretty good game here, and I think maybe people aren't expecting that because they don't have Swift So I do like the Lions offense still. Defensively, they've kind of been up and down a little bit. So I think this similar game against the Falcons for the Seahawks, which they did score 23. So I actually had the exact number there. But yeah, I think they'll have some good moments, and I don't know if they'll turn the ball over at all or much. I just think they just won't have enough against an explosive Lions offense there. So 28-23, Lions. Titans Colts should be a fun one here. This game's always a battle, the AFC South division rivalry game, and I'm going to go with the Colts at home, 20-17. Low scoring. I think mainly defense here. I like the Colts because of their defense. I like their run defense specifically. They've been very stout, stopping the run. Now a new challenge against Derrick Henry, but I think they succeed. They're not going to hold them to like nothing or anything like that, but I think they succeed. I think Taylor has a pretty good game as well. They manage the time of possession, so they won't be crazy offensively. A lot of running clock in this game. But I think the Colts get the job done mainly with that defense there. So 20-17 Colts. They're favored by 3.5, so it's right around that same range there. The Titans are pretty beat up, so that makes it tough as well. Maybe a split from these two teams, maybe the home games, but I could see it with the away games as well. But I'm feeling the Colts. I like the run defense. I like the defense in general, so I think that gets the job done. Bears and Giants, that should be a defensive game as well. We just had 2017 in the last game. I'm going to go 2016 in this game. With the Giants winning here at home. The Bears, they're 2-1, but it's going to come to a time where they're going to have to figure out the passing game to be able to keep winning. I don't really fully trust it here. They've been great on the ground. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last week, but they'll still maybe do a little bit of damage. I think Saquon and company can do some damage, but the Giants are going to get the ball out quick. I think they'll have some success here in their offensively, but mainly a defensive game. It's just who can make that extra play against the opposing quarterback, and both quarterbacks have some kind of, they have the turnover-worthy throws there, but I'm going to trust the Giants a little bit more at home here. I'm going to go 20-16 Giants, but they do have some injuries to the receiver position, and that could hurt them in this game, but yeah, next game, Jags and Eagles. I went with maybe a little bit more of a defensive game than maybe what people would think, or maybe this isn't surprising to people, but I think people are kind of just assuming these teams could score near 30, but I don't think so. I like both their offenses and defenses, but I think the defenses mainly show up. I think they'll have some explosive plays offensively here and there, given the 24-20. There's some points scored, but I think the Jaguars' defense is tricky. They stop the run at a high level too, so it's a new challenge for that Eagles offense. And they're stopping Hurts, the quarterback running maybe a little bit different of a challenge, but they could give them some problems here and there. The Jaguars' defense, the Eagles' defense has played incredible the last 2 weeks, and a young offense led by Trevor Lawrence. That Eagles' defense could give them some problems as well. So I'm going to give the Eagles the edge here at home. Just that extra play on offense, that extra play on defense here. So 24-20 Eagles. That should be a pretty fun game to watch. Two teams that are playing very well at the moment. Jets and Steelers will go Steelers 23-17, 6-point win. It sounds like it's going to be Zach Wilson, which overall it's a good thing because you want your second-year quarterback that was the second overall pick to be playing, kind of get him going. But is it going to help them right now? And I think he could struggle a little bit right now. So I don't expect them to get a crazy, especially coming off an injury, get a crazy amount of offense going there. Even though the Steelers, it looks like there's a beatable defense now without TJ Watt. And I'll say the Jets' key is they should run the ball more. They got to come out and pound the football. They can't get down, so where they can't pound the football. They got to pound the football, use their group of running backs there. And I think that'll be their key to winning. If they can win the game, they can win the game. So we'll see. Maybe they pull that off, and I can very easily see it. But the Steelers had kind of, a mini bye, the extra time since last Thursday night to prepare and, figure something out, finally get some offense going. And I think they do that just enough here, just enough. So I'll go 23-17 Steelers, but it actually could be a good game there. Bills and Ravens, I'm going to go with the shootout here. I'm going to go Bills 34, Ravens 27. Isn't Baltimore, but I'm feeling the Bills. I like the matchup here. I like the matchup because the Ravens defense has been struggling a bit. And I think the Bills take advantage of that. I'm confident they're going to score a good amount of points. They were a little off last week. I really think they bounced back. The Ravens got some injuries on defense, and again, the Ravens have been trying to adjust things, shift things on defense to, different than what it's been in the past. So I think, and that's maybe why they're kind of having this period of struggle. So I think the Bills really get going. But I think Lamar and that offense will do some damage as well. But just because they're a very good team. But the Bills defense is still solid despite having some injuries. So I think it won't be enough. They'll score a bit. I have 27. It just won't be enough here. So I'm going to go Bills 34-27. That should be a fun one as well. Chargers, Texans, tough one to pick, I guess, because the Chargers are pretty injured right now. Some key players as well. Joey Bosa just went on IR a little bit ago, so that's tough, but I still didn't have enough. They'll score enough points this game. Herbert will do enough damage. Keenan Allen maybe should be back perhaps, so that should help as well. Texans maybe can get a little bit going on offense since the Chargers are pretty beat up. No Bosa there on defense, but they can't find ways to close out the games right now. So I'm going to trust the Chargers a bit more, 27-20 LA. Next, we got the Cardinals and the Panthers, which should be a really good game. I saw McCaffrey didn't practice. That kind of seems to be a thing at least once every week, so I think he'll play. But if he doesn't play, I'm going to probably switch the pick there. But I think he'll play. I like the Panthers in this one, though. And it might be tough to switch the pick even if McCaffrey's out, because I like the Panthers mainly because their defense. I still think they could struggle to stop the run. That could be the weakness of the defense. But the Cardinals are a pass-first team. We see a lot of spread looks there. The Panthers are very good stopping the pass. They got a lot of young players back there. They're very well coached. They're probably one of the better defenses when it comes to being built to stop kind of the pass first, especially kind of like a college-style offense the Cardinals run. It's just the Panthers-style defense there. So I like the way they match up for that reason. And the Cardinals have not been playing good football, even on defense, so I think the Panthers will do just enough offensively. But it's mainly because that Panthers defense versus the Cardinals offense, and the Cardinals are pretty beat up, specifically at the receiver position there. So, Panthers are favored. I actually didn't think they'd be favored. I thought I was kind of getting bold there, but I like them in this game. I guess McCaffrey's something to monitor, but the Cardinals have not been playing good football. I mean, they did for maybe 2 quarters against the Raiders, and that was enough to pull it out against them, but will it be enough against the Panthers here at home when they're coming off a win? So we'll see. But I just like the matchup. I like the way the Panthers defense matches up with the Cardinals offense, but we'll see. We'll see what happens come Sunday, because sometimes the matchup doesn't always win. Sometimes, we've seen the last few weeks, sometimes some weird things happen, especially early in the year. But next game, Patriots-Packers. Yeah, it's going to be Brian Hoyer for the Patriots. Mac Jones going to be out 3 weeks, maybe a little bit more, maybe a game less. We'll see. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Packers. 24-13. I don't think the Patriots will get enough going offensively. I think the Patriots defense could look solid here and there throughout the game, but Rodgers and company will do just enough. They're favored by 9.5. What I got them winning by 11. Even though it's close, I do feel like they'll win by double digits. I do think that, so 24-13 Packers in that one. I think we're all expecting something along those lines. Broncos and Raiders. Surprised the Raiders are favored, and I'm surprised the amount of people picking the Raiders this week. I was the only one in the Pick'ems video to pick the Broncos, and I see a lot of people picking the Raiders out there as well. They're due for a win. It's a rival game at home. That kind of helps as well. They could very well win this game, but I like the Broncos. What makes it tough is like a guy like Justin Simmons being out still. The Raiders, Derek Carr's got a pretty good deep ball. Hasn't really showed it much this year, but they have weapons, so maybe they kind of can exploit that. That's really the only thing there, but man, I like the Broncos defense still. It's got a very good defensive line, very good pass rush, could get after Derek Carr in this game. They're still locking it down in the secondary. They're making plays. They're creating turnovers. So it's a very good defense. The Raiders haven't really seen this defense yet, right? They've been struggling, and they haven't seen anything as good as the Broncos defense. So I don't really trust them to score enough points in this game. And maybe you could argue 20 is enough because the Broncos have really been struggling on offense, but something tells me they get it together here. They've been playing some tougher defenses. The Niners last week, very tough. Believe it or not, the Texans defense is pretty solid. So I think it's kind of about that time. Week 4, I think they can run on the Raiders. I think they can throw on them. They're not going to go crazy, but I think they snap out of it and they get enough points up here. Nothing crazy again, but I just like the matchup because you look at the offenses, which offense can play better. There's no clear-cut one there, but I think the defense, there's a clear-cut Broncos here, so that's kind of the big difference there. They're underdogs by 2.5. I like them in this game. we're going to the Sunday night game, and I got the upset in this one. I like the Bucs in this game, and there is a scenario where I don't like the Bucs, and if it's like a list of guys are still out and they're not able to play at home. If they're not playing at home, apparently they're going to Minnesota, the Vikings stadium, which doesn't make sense to me. Why would they travel all the way up there? It's a Bucs home game in Minnesota. Why not go to New Orleans or something? Maybe they're affected by the weather, but I mean it's inside. So that doesn't make sense. So there is a scenario where that kind of throws everything off here. But the matchup, I love the Bucs in this matchup, and they're supposed to be home. They're getting Mike Evans back. Obviously, they could get Godwin back. A number of guys here, but. The matchup, again, the Buccaneers and you see the over-under this game is pretty low, and I think, people are saying the Bucs offense isn't it. It's not it this year. They're struggling. They can't score points. Look at who they played. Week 1, they played the Cowboys, who are debatably the best defense in football right now, and they moved the ball. They just couldn't put it in the end zone. They kicked field goals. And they play the Saints. Saints have a very stout defense. The Bucs also always struggle against that Saints defense. It was in New Orleans. They did enough to win. And they play the Packers defense. All three of these are very, very stout defenses that are maybe towards the top of the NFL. Maybe the Saints not right now, but they're in there, especially when playing the Bucs. And then factor in what other defense is kind of up there. The Buccaneers defense. The Buccaneers defense is playing incredible. Their pass defense is great. Their run defense is always pretty solid. And I'm not going to, take big-time shots at the Chiefs' defense, but they're definitely not the Cowboys or the Packers' defenses. They're not the Saints' defense either. So this is a little bit easier for the Buccaneers' offense. I think Fournette could really get going in this game. The run game can get going. I think they'll have success through the air, kind of that breakout game for Brady in this offense, which Brady still has. You kind of can see it there. So I think the Bucs get going offensively, which no one's expecting, only because of what they're basing off of how much they scored in the first 3 weeks. So I'm disagree there with those takes if they are out there, but I would assume they are. But the Buccaneers defense is very good as well. It's a dangerous offense there at Mahomes and company, and they'll have some success here and there. But that pass defense is so good, and the Chiefs really aren't that dangerous running the football, and the Bucs stop the run as it is. So I just like the matchup. Like, who's going to be the better team when it's all said and done against the field of the NFL? It could be either team, really. It could be the Chiefs. But head-to-head, what's supposed to be in Tampa, I guess we'll see. I love the Bucs in this game, and I guess a bunch of guys could be out still, but getting Mike Evans back again, I think Fournette could have a pretty good game. I think this is kind of the coming out party for the Buccaneers offense here, so I like the matchup a lot. 27-23, and one of the tougher ones to pick on the week. I went with the Niners. I think it's very tough because of the injuries for the 49ers, mainly Trent Williams. Missing Trent Williams is massive, and that Rams pass rush really could get after Garoppolo. And I was surprised the 49ers were kind of surprised. The 49ers are favoring this game, but you just think about it. The 49ers always in the regular season give the Rams problems. This game is prime time in San Francisco. I don't see them losing back-to-back primetime games as it is. They were away last week. Get to wait till Monday night. I still really like that 49ers defense, even though they're beat up throughout the whole roster. Still waiting to get Jimmy Ward back. Obviously, he's out for at least this could be the last week here because he was the 4 week at least 4 week guy. But the 49ers defense is still super good. I think it's better than the Rams defense, and the Rams have been sloppy with the football. Stafford hasn't really been 100% himself, and the 49ers can create the turnovers, and that could be the difference. But again, not having Trent Williams, not having Elijah Mitchell, these things are pretty tough. But I don't know if offense can be that much of a factor because I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think the defense will make those extra plays. And I can see Garoppolo stepping up a little bit this week compared to last week. So I'm going to take the Niners. They always give the Rams problems. They're home prime time. I like the way their defense matches up with the kind of the turnover-ish offense of the LA Rams. So it's a tough one because of injuries. But because overall the Rams are the better team, I think. But head-to-head, again, prime time in San Francisco, I like the 49ers, and they are favored. So, I didn't expect them to be. But, so a lot of good games this week. A lot of games that go either way. Kind of maybe got a little bold. I think people are really going to think I got bold with that Buccaneers one. But I'm feeling that one again. I guess, again, there could be some weird things going on. That game could be in Minnesota. There could be more injuries for the Bucs. So I guess we'll have to wait to see for sure. But I just love the way they match up. So, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're back with this video every single Wednesday afternoon. We have straight up picks with some other, kind of get some other perspectives on games from the other guys. That's the Tuesday night video, Power Rankings Tuesday. A lot more NFL content, especially on our Twitter. Link down below for that. Check it out. Other important links pinned in the comments. But please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you didn't already, it'd be much appreciated. If you already did all that, I appreciate you very much. But that is going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.